Have you ever wondered how an economy can look unstoppable and then suddenly collapse? That's the story of a speculative bubble, a cycle of irrational growth where asset prices soar far beyond their actual value, only to come crashing down. It's not just about bad bets, it's about how human psychology, monetary policy, and market incentives collide. Let's break this down with two real examples. In the late 1980s, Japan was on fire economically speaking. The Bank of Japan kept interest rates low to stimulate growth after the 1985 Plaza Accord, which had sharply appreciated the yen. With cheap credit everywhere, people began pouring money into stocks and real estate. At the peak, land in central Tokyo was selling for over 1 million per square meter, and the Nikkei 225 stock index nearly quadrupled from 1985 to 1989, topping out at 38,915 yen. Fun fact, the Tokyo Imperial Garden, including the palace, which is roughly 1.15 kilometers squared, was worth more than the entire state of California, which is 423,000 kilometers squared, for a period of time. The logic was simple. Prices will keep rising, so you must get in before you're eventually priced out. But it was a bubble. By 1991, everything began to collapse. Real estate prices fell by over 60%, and the stock market lost trillions in value. Banks were left holding bad loans, and the Japanese economy entered what's now called the lost decade. In truth, the stagnation lasted much, much longer. The country had fueled its boom on optimism, debt, and a belief that the future would always be better, until it eventually wasn't. Fast forward to 2008, the US housing market was in a similar fever. Encouraged by deregulation and low post-9/11 interest rates, banks gave out millions of subprime mortgages, loans to people who couldn't exactly afford them. These loans were bundled into complex financial products called mortgage-backed securities, rated AAA by credit agencies, despite being high risk. The logic? Again, housing prices never fall. Of course, they did. But when homeowners defaulted, those securities collapsed. Major institutions like Lehman Brothers failed. The global financial system seized up, and the result? The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Over 8 million jobs were lost in the US alone. So why do bubbles keep happening? Because they're not just financial, they're psychological. Investors will always follow the herd. They fear missing out. They borrow heavily during booms, assuming the good times will never end, and sometimes regulators will even look the other way. Bubbles form when short-term gains override long-term thinking, when people stop asking, what is this really worth, and start asking, how fast can I make a profit? And that's what makes bubbles so dangerous. They're built on hope and burst on reality. So next time you see prices rising at record speed, whether it's housing, crypto, stocks, take a break, because history doesn't rhyme, in finance it repeats.